I made a executive decision to not recap this entire main board. As I started to, the very first cap I went to go pull, the pad on the back side just ripped for no reason. And so it goes to this little IC, which looks nice and big on camera, but in person, that is tiny. So I went ahead and figured I had the cap out, I might as well replace it. And I bent one leg over and was just going to solder it onto the IC. I did that, but the leg was bigger than the IC legs, and when I soldered it, it appeared that it stuck to both of those legs. So I decided that's probably not a good thing. Unsoldered it, cut it a little shorter. What was left of the trace, I scraped the green coating off to get to the bare copper. Some of it flaked off. What was left there, I was able to take some flux and hit the trace, create a little tiny solder blob. The capacitor leg, I went ahead and goobered it up with some flux. Okay. And created a big solder blob on that leg, bent it over, and continued with the solder blob until it met up with the one on the trace. And that did good, hardened up really good. So with that all said and done, I'm not going to mess with it. You'll notice on the back here, it is just peppered with SMDs all over the place. And with the capacitors, the amount of the capacitors that are on here, I decided, let's not go there. I figured the thing is playing just fine. Otherwise, this is the one I replaced, and you could see a lot of wax and a lot of glue, especially up in the area of the coils. So I decided let's just leave it alone, unless there's something that I really need to do with this. I think it'll be fine. It would be great to have replaced all of them. I don't want to create more work than I don't have to do. I mean, as it is, just to fix that one goofy little thing there, that was I don't know, at least 15 minutes. I have it partially assembled. Got the went brain dead. I got the shielding on. I got the display board mounted. I got to mount the controls in. I've got piezo speaker wired up, the battery compartment wired up. Next thing I need to do is wire up a ground side for the negative side of the antenna block. I went ahead and cut the positive side down. I'm going to use the wire, the excess wire that came off of that for the project. So I've trimmed that up, I've tinned that, that's ready to go. Needing to find a ground side for the aerial to tap into. We're going to tap into this side right here, ground side of the chassis. So let's go ahead and solder that in. I'm not sure how much you'll be able to see me do that because this is an odd angle, but let's give it a shot. I know camera angles are terrible, but we do the best we can with what we got. Put a lot of solder on there for a nice blob. There's the tie-in right there. Let's go ahead and finish assembling this. One thing I wanted to notate about placement of the ground wire on the aerial, in case you do this same kind of mod on yours as well, you need to pay attention where you place the ground wire. You just don't want to stick it anywhere on the circuit board. You want to find the ground side of the radio. Generally on the circuit board it's going to be a big fat trace or a big fat solder blob somewhere on the radio. And once you do that, you want to take your voltometer and connect the negative to the negative and the positive to the positive side of the aerial. Take a voltage reading and just make sure you have no voltage going through the line whatsoever. If you do, then you need to move that ground wire elsewhere, because you don't want to short out the radio, have any form of accidental shortage or anything like that. That could harm the radio, could cause a fire, could explode. It wouldn't be good. So just take your readings and move forward. And that's what we're going to do now. We're going to move forward. So the next thing we need to do is modify the back of the casing of the radio. Where is it we're going to mount this? And probably going to be somewhere just above this caution section here. The antenna lug that we're going to use, I got my package in from Hawaii or Alaska, somewhere. After about a week waiting for this to arrive and a week for the LEDs to arrive, and hopefully to finish this project out today, I'm about 2.5 weeks into this project, so I'm really looking forward in moving forward, finishing this and moving on to another project. This is vintage new old stock. It smells like it, like the 1960s or 50s, and this is wrapped in here really well, and nice good vintage paper. So this is what is going to be used for the antenna terminals. Yeah, this is a little bit larger than I would want or hoped for. First time I've opened this up out of the package to see this, but this is what's going to work. I need to tell you, these things are rather difficult to find on the internet or on eBay. And when you do find them, it's a king's ransom for them. I think for that bag, I paid like 15 bucks. So if you find these, hold on to them. Let's move on to the modification. Here we can see that I've marked it out, my witness marks, and this is the section right here where the lugs will go through the plastic. And once I have that mounted, push through the plastic, then I'll notch out the holes for the screws so we can mount it. I have the knife warming up now, and when it's done, we'll do just that. I will try to do this where we could all see, but I can't guarantee my hands won't get in the way during some of it. So, as long as I got good steady hands, I think I'm ready to go. Okay, just goofing. Yeah. I think I have to turn my fan off. It might be cooling the knife down. Let me do that, shall I? Well, it's been a few minutes. Fan is off. Hopefully this is warmed up enough. Let's give it another shot. Slow. It's working. Wish the blade was a little hotter, but it's working. Okay. Oops. Not the soldering iron full. Not as clean as I'd hoped. Oops, grabbing my soldering iron. Oh, that looks horrible. Well, I have it completely all notched out, and I came back in with an X-Acto knife and cleaned it up. I have to say this, I was really excited about this hot knife, and I guess to some degree it works, and I'll still use it, but I wish that it was hotter. It's only 25 watts. I wished it was at least 35 or 45 watts. The material that I was cutting, as you can see, it's pretty thick. But it would have been nice to have a hotter knife to just cut through all that cleanly and fastly and not allow it to dry just as quick as it cut. And that was something I was running into with this thicker material. And next step is to mount the terminal. I have one witness mark in here for that, and once I get that drilled out and mounted and then get this square, then I'll go ahead and drill out the other side. Let's see if we could do this without goofing it up too much. Unfortunately, don't have any washers, so we're just going to have to make do with what we got. Look straight.